Deep in the powers of Nurgle, two lost souls converse. Welcome to Hereticast.
Okay, so, first episode. It's been a long time coming, a long time in the making. Here by popular demand. Episode 1.
Yes, welcome to episode 1 of Hereticast, the podcast that used to be a pipe dream, but now it isn't.
We had fan art of the podcast before we had the podcast. That's how you know it's going to be good.
Hooray. Yeah, I mean, my main concern is that I won't be able to properly, sync up the recording because the claps didn't sync up, but that's okay. I can try to work my way around it.
Yeah, I think just maybe, listening to it should give an idea of how far away the claps were. Like, they should be near each other. For those who actually don't realize this listening at home, is that we don't have the proper recording equipment to just simply record the call as one audio block. So what we are both doing is listening to each other on separate devices and recording our audios individually, at which point we're going to have to stick them together.
Yes, like a freaky Frankenstein monster.
Doing this like barbarians.
Yes, indeed. Alright.
So the biggest news lately in the Warhammer community is the new box set that came out, the Piety and Pain, or Pain and Piety.
Don't you mean Piety and Pants? Because Lilith has pants now.
It shocked the fandom to its core. Nothing will be the same.
Lilith has pants now!
Except they're the most immodest pants ever, so it changes nothing.
Well, I mean, it finally focuses on the fact that it finally focuses on the more sort of the aspect of Lilith that not a whole lot of people seem to know. The fact that she is basically, you said it. You said that, you know, she, well, okay, I have hinted at it, like, she is basically kind of like a wrestler. She has the personality of a WWE pro wrestler.
Yeah, like you use the term heel, kind of like a heel.
Yes.
And you can absolutely see that people see this character and you hear what she's about, and the perception is that she's this lithe, very sadistic, haha, kind of femme fatale character. Not so much the case.
She's more like, yeah,
she's really rough and tumble, you know?
Yeah, and of course, you know, the fact that she doesn't use any combat drugs because she sees this as a weakness, and that brought you to the conclusion, oh, she's basically Vegeta.
Yeah, she's like Vegeta, more or less. I will fight the strongest opponents and prove myself.
Yes, because, I mean, after all, there is she has this plan to fight Lucius, essentially.
Yeah, like his immortality, his ability to reincarnate kind of disgusts her. It's like seen as a coward's tool to her.
Yes. And she wants to take that fucker down!
Yeah, and we had the joke where we're here ringside with Lilith, like when they do those interviews with wrestlers, and she grabs the microphone from whoever. This coward, luscious Lucius, he keeps reincarnating. Well, when I take that away from him, let's see if he's man enough to step into the ring with a 10-time champion.
And, I mean, yeah, yeah, it's just you and me in 20 minutes of playtime.
God.
That's her voice. That is her canon voice. Yeah, it's just you and me snapping to a Slim Jim, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm the cream of the crop.
God. No, but that's the thing. There's always two ways to interpret Warhammer characters, as very seriously and just very hilariously. And that's something I really like about the Warhammer community, is you can see two different depictions of the same character that are completely different and think, yeah, both of these are accurate. I accept both of these.
True, yeah. I mean, after all, I am number one central I'm the number one Ivrain Robute Gilliman ship central, so...
Yeah. Mostly because you can nail down the Yvrain voice. A lot of people have joked that in their head, your voice for Yvrain is essentially their personal canon at this point.
I have heard that a lot. I am deeply flattered by that. Thank you so much. That a lot of people think that, that consider me as a headcanon Ivrain voice.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, people have joked, like, so people like, hey, call Albafusa. Or Alphabusa. Oh, I'm an idiot.
Alphabusa.
Albafusa.
No, that's his name now, Albafusa. You heard it,
it
here. You heard it here on the Magnifigal channel. It's Albafusa now.
Somebody should probably let him know what his real name is. Just a heads up, buddy. So yeah, there was that. Those new models, I think they do look really cool, and I know a lot of people were hyped up about that because Lilith is generally known as like one of those fan favorite characters. A lot of people do find her interesting and like her. And the new Sororita models, I believe, also came out.
About the Sororitas, apparently the only thing the Sororitas players will get is just a lieutenant!
It's better than nothing.
Yeah. Congratulations! You get, like, one lieutenant!
You know if Games Workshop really want to throw everyone for a loop? Primaris Sisters of Battle.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, God.
Everything is Primaris now! Fuck you!
Wait, it's all Primaris? Always has been. Wow, I'm really shaky at this. I hope these get better as we go forward.
No, don't worry. I can keep the ball rolling, but
yeah.
So you've been doing a lot of homework. You've been listening to a lot of because you've messaged me a lot. You've told me about all the audiobooks and books in general that you've read up on in Warhammer 40k, and you made some pretty interesting thinking points along the way, which I found really cool. So, which book in particular did you like the best?
1 second.
Several minutes later.
That is actually pretty hard to pin down which book I like the best, because I have been, what I do is, like, I'll play a video game, and then I'll turn off the audio for the game, and in the background I'll be listening to an audiobook, because I found some really reliable, really good websites that have free 40k audiobooks, a lot of them, just there to listen to.
Yeah, just don't make sure you don't mention. You don't.
I have.
You don't disclose which websites you found them from.
I've got sources. Who do you get your audiobooks from? Top people. Who? Top people. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
A shadowy organization.
A secret group of individuals dedicated to... No, some of the ones I've listened to, obviously there's that, and also A Border Prince on YouTube. For those who don't know him, he does a lot of very high quality readings. He has a great voice.
Heck yeah, he's got a really good voice.
Yeah, you're the one who actually introduced me to A Border Prince, and I have been listening to his Fall of Cadia, The Gathering Storm, Fall of Cadia in bits, because that's a big one. Yeah, so some of the ones I've listened to from him are Unification and The Prince of Blood. Those I really liked, as well as all the Index Astartes ones, as he's been releasing them.
Huh, cool.
Which I have gotten a lot of information out of, like a lot of information. And the ones I listen to on the website for free are Massacre, which is one about the Night Lords leading up to the Isvan 5 Dropsite Massacre.
Ah, interesting.
And, yeah, as well as one called, like, the First Prince, which is a short one about Ottoman and one of his top lieutenants dealing with a demon, essentially tricking a demon into making a deal with the devil, which I thought was really interesting. It says a lot about Ottoman as a character, that he's not... It showed that, because in that one, what Ottoman does is he saves his favored lieutenant from having his soul claimed by a demon after that lieutenant had made a deal with this demon. Says that when you die, I'll get your soul. So he died, and then he's like, okay, I'm going to have my soul taken and torn apart. Ottoman steps in and then actually ends up tricking the demon and trapping the demon, and then forcing the demon into servitude, in a sense, for information. So you're kind of left with this very weird depiction of Ahriman, that either he was using his lieutenant's bad situation as a way to get at this demon, or he genuinely stepped in because he cared about his lieutenant and didn't want to see him damned. It's a little bit hard to pin down.
Well, yeah, that's typical of Tzeentch, basically. It's a typical... it's like... I mean, in every Thousand Sons situation, like every Thousand Sons related everything, it's like, oh, is he actually doing this out of the goodness of his heart, or is he doing it out of some Machiavellian super trap card, Yu-Gi-Oh card scheme? Like, oh, it's actually just part of my elaborate keikaku.
All according to Keikaku. That really is what Ahriman pulls on this demon in this book. How hilarious. You just activated my trap card. That's really what happens. And I think it was an interesting story. Not a lot happens in it, but it is obviously more of a character piece, and it is done through through the eyes of this lieutenant, which is the reason why you can't really tell what Ahriman's game is.
Mm-hmm.
But it does seem to me like he does have some compassion and some affection for the people who are close to him. Obviously, he didn't really... The thing is, I haven't read that much, so I don't know how Ahriman felt after the rubric, happened, and he wiped out most of his legion.
Yeah.
But, I don't know if he felt bad about that or not. It's probably answered somewhere in some piece of writing, and if anyone could clarify that for me, I would appreciate it.
Please do! He needs help!
Oh, yeah. I need help on my research.
Yes, please help the Pinquisitor. He needs more material for his research.
The Inquisitorial Archives.
Why can't you help him out? Listen, I am a Nurglite chaos demon thing. And I'm not even kidding. My real life is literally just a Nurgle garden. I am not even kidding with this, because I can talk about this today, right? Because it does still bother me.
Oh yeah, go for it.
I discovered, I'm a polite person. I don't want to throw away food right away, but that piece of food was there for way too long, and so I decided to open it. It was homemade lasagna that started to grow its own colony.
It was not hers, by the way. It did belong to a roommate, which is why she had hesitated on throwing it out.
Yeah, because I didn't want to make the mistake like my other roommate did, who decided to just throw away my stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the least disgusting things that's happened. Maggots manifesting themselves randomly in the kitchen, and fruit flies everywhere. Listen, I am Nurgle, by the way. I mean, that's why I'm a fucking Nurgle skeleton.
Just a vestige of Nurgle. You walk in and there's just some rotting entity in the middle of the kitchen floor. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, it's an okay. Yeah, it's sort of it's a thing.
This is fine.
This is fine. This is fine.
Narrator voice. But in fact, it was not fine.
But yeah.
God. Just general weird things like that do actually occur a lot in your life. And speaking of weird things, some things I've noticed about the Thousand Sons, especially in this book, is they have, I think, out of all the different legions that worship a specific chaos god, they have a very tenuous grip on themselves. Because obviously, though, the World Eaters are some of the most insane, but the Thousand Sons have the weakest grip on themselves. Like, at any time, you could just be claimed by Tzeentch. You could just be killed off by Tzeentch, and you won't really know why. And there wouldn't be anything you can really do about it. So they're kind of... It seems like some of them have accepted it, like Ahriman's lieutenant. He had accepted his fate, and some of them would probably live in a state of paranoia about it. And in this book, it shows that even though they are very smart and treacherous in their nature, even when dealing with demons and dealing with each other, but they're not above allegiance. Like, a lot of them did remain loyal to an extent, and I feel like that's why the Thousand Sons, out of all the traitor legions, are one of the few that has sort of remained more or less cohesive, aside from this one large schism between Ahriman and those who followed him and those who have stayed with Magnus. But aside from that, they've remained very unified. But thing is, like, in reality, they are kind of like the smallest, I think, legion out of all the traitors. The reason being because most of them aren't really legionaries anymore. They're just automatons. It's just a very small, like a cabal of extremely powerful sorcerers at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, I think that's why you don't see like how this like the chaotic maelstrom that some other legions can be.
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
I mean, wait, yeah, I keep thinking of other traitor legions that might need to get some more love. Like, I mean, if like, for instance, I guess you could say, I mean... for some reason, I keep thinking back on Iron Warriors, but they already got the Daemon Kilaba, and we do not talk about the Daemon Kilaba.
Oh god.
This is another thing for you to research, and then immediately regret researching Pinquisitor, because
I've seen the Luton video. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jesus.
You've been informed. Yes, yeah. But I mean, I guess the reason why I keep thinking back to the Iron Warriors is because of Perturabo, the demon primarch. You know, he's supposed to be a demon primarch, and a lot of people are like, I mean, why can't Perturabo step in at some point? Like, he should be like the champion of Chaos Undivided. He should be. Why the frick is Abaddon the guy who has to be the champion of Chaos Undivided? He sucks.
Fail. Everyone calls him Failbaddon. No, I think it's the reason is because Abaddon is enough of a tryhard to actually, try to put himself in that position, as opposed to Perturabo, who just wants to angrily vibe.
Yes, that is true. He just wants to angrily vibe.
Vibing angrily.
Vibes angrily.
Yeah. Like, I don't think... Has he made any, like, large-scale appearances in his Demon Primarch form? Because I know, Magnus, Fulgrim, and Mortarion, especially, have all made these sort of big appearances in their forms as Demon Primarchs. And, some of the other traders, like, Horus, Alfarius and Omegon, allegedly.
You might be Alfarius. I might be Omegon.
Oh, God.
Wait, I might be Alfarius and you're Omegon. Wait, maybe the audience is Alfarius and Omegon.
What's it called? You're Alfarius, and you're Alfarius. Everyone's Alfarius. That's got to be one of my favorite memes in the Warhammer community. Is just everyone is Alfarius. What's that one really famous clip of Vince McMahon peering out from under his disguise?
Oh,
it's me, Austin!
Vince McMahon.
Yeah, Vince McMahon.
It's me, Austin!
It's me, Austin! It's me, Gilliman! It was me all along, Gilliman!
You all bought
Even
it!
my own brother bought it! Even my own brother. God.
I mean... Well, since we're on the topic of Demon Primarchs, what I find really amazing about the Mortarion model is that the wings are modeled like moth wings, which are, a symbol of death!
Yeah, no, that's true. That's something that's very interesting. Because you would automatically assume, they're going to be leathery, they're going to be like bat wings, but no, they're more like very sheer. They look fine, and they have like holes in them.
Yeah, and insect
wings,
basically. Yeah.
Yeah, they do seem like moth wings or fly wings.
Yeah.
Which it fits. Like, it fits a lot with the theme. And the thing about the Death Guard, I find them to be an extremely interesting legion, and Mortarion himself as a character. Because what I have read of them is from a Border Prince, shoutouts to him. He did the Index Astartes about the Death Guard, which covers the history of Mortarion and the Legion, as well as a short story called Unification, which deals with a character named Vorx, which is a really good story, and I do have stuff to go in on that. But the thing about the Death Guard is that one thing I find interesting about them, that says a lot about Nurgle as opposed to the other gods of chaos, is that they are seemingly the most unified out of all the traitor legions. They are still very much a cohesive fighting force, and they have what appears to be more or less a solid command structure. Them and the word bearers are the most unified, and that kind of owes to how the followers of Nurgle are generally speaking, some of the least insane.
I mean, yeah, because like Nurgle. I mean, that's why I kind of like the thing about I like about Nurgle is like, you know, he loves you just the way you are. You might be full of cancer sores. You're bleeding on one side. Your guts are spilling out, but he still loves you. You don't need to clean that up. Hashtag self-care. Let yourself go. Waste away.
Yeah, it's ironic that the Death Guard are the most cohesive, despite one of their battle cries being "Embrace entropy." It's a little bit ironic, really.
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
Even like thing is like, wait. Even though the Death Guard, even though they do exist in war bands, those war bands like they kind of just do their own thing as opposed to turning on each other and tearing each other apart. Is something I find interesting, and one thing that I found really interesting about Nurgle generally, as well as Mortarion, is that, and I can say this as someone who is a Hindu, is that Mortarion's story, it did kind of remind me of, you know, the Buddha, Prince Siddhartha, in that he was kind of locked in this palace and told that he could never leave by his oh-so-pleasant adopted father. But then he escapes and sees the horror of the real world, and it changes his mindset, you know? And he resolves to live among the common people and to struggle with them for, you know, a better world. That you know, that's basically exactly the story of the Buddha.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting, yeah. That's amazing. Like, that's an amazing viewpoint.
And, like, when it comes to Nurgle in general, like, for Hindus, a big thing we have that separates us from other religions is our veneration of essentially holy animals. For us, it's cows, but for Nurglites, it's maggots and flies because of them being harbingers of decay. And here's a very interesting thing. For the Buddhism of Tibet, their holy animal is the Himalayan vulture. They're those really beautiful red vultures with the red sclera eyes. They're gorgeous. The thing about it, yeah.
Yeah. They look. I mean, they look pretty. Like, to a certain degree, they have something menacing to it, but they're also like menacing, but in a pretty way.
They look like dragons, basically. They're like feathered dragons, menacing but beautiful.
Yeah.
And the thing about them, the reason they're seen as holy animals, for the Buddhists of Tibet, is because of their role as a scavenger and a harbinger of decay. Because the thing is, in Hinduism as well as Buddhism, generally speaking, your soul is tied to your physical body. That's why it's important for the body to be cremated upon death or disposed of as quickly as opposed to being preserved. Because that helps your soul move on and become reincarnated into something new. But in those Himalayan environments, there's very little oxygen, so it can take a very, very long time for bodies to decay. So the vultures actually speed up that process along very quickly. They will intentionally do this. They do something called a sky burial, where they take the body, strip it naked, slash it in certain parts, and then leave it out in the mountains where they know these vultures congregate. And also they do this for animals as well, so that they'll be picked clean and left to move on to the next world. So you can definitely, you know, see that parallel there. These animals that people think, that animal is scary. It eats dead things. It brings decay and destruction. But from a certain belief standpoint, that's actually seen as a good thing. It's a desirable thing.
Interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Yes, another fine piece of knowledge to add to my collection.
Nice. And another thing that reminded me is because I listened to the Unification story right around Christmas, and the story of Vorks, it reminded me of my favorite Christmas carol, Good King Wenceslas, where it's in the song Good King Wenceslas, this good king sees a poor man struggling to lift firewood and resolves to help him. He's like, okay, we're gonna go find where that poor man lives, go over to his house and give him a bunch of meat, wine, and wood as a gift. So then the king takes his page along with him, and then the page is like, I'm sorry, it's freezing, I don't know if I can keep going. And then he's like, walk in my footsteps, it will be easier for you. And then the page does so. He walks in the footsteps, and then they reach the old man's house to, bid him well and give him gifts. And that reminded me, because of Vorks, after Mortarion appears, this huge man, and does a good deed for the peasants of Vorks village, he goes off, and then Vorks runs after him. Because he's like, I have nothing left in the world, I'm going to follow him, and he can make me strong. So he follows behind him, tries to follow his footsteps, then loses his footsteps, and keeps going. He keeps going to the point of absolute collapse, at which point Mortarion steps in and carries him. But it just reminded me of that, and I thought that was nice.
Once again, proof why my Lord Mortarion is goodest boy.
He really is. Mortarion really is best boy. Like,
he might smell like shit, but at least he's goodest boy.
And like, even when it comes to the conversion of his legion to fully, side with Chaos, is because he wanted to save their lives. They were dying inside their ship, and then he's like, no, I can't let my boys die. Look what they've done. They've massacred my boys. So then...
My boys!
My boys! What's happening to my boys? Yeah, and you can see there is... Even though they don't really have a sense of hardcore purpose, the Death Guard, aside from, the general, worship Nurgle, serve Nurgle, they very much have a sense of camaraderie between themselves and brotherhood that's kept them together. And even despite the little bit of feuding they have between themselves, like Mortarion and Typhon, they still, sort of remain together, which I find to be really interesting, as opposed to other legions which maybe have a bit more of a mission, but are completely divided. And it runs completely antithetical to, in my mind, the Night Lords.
Oh boy, the Night Lords, yeah. They're basically just like, fuck human beings, fuck everything. But here's the thing about the Night Lords. Yes, it is true. They don't like the Imperium, and they don't like Chaos. There are, like, I remember vaguely in an audio drama that there was indeed a Night Lord who has turned to Tzeentch, but he's basically treated as a shitty roommate.
Oh god.
Like, I mean, they're basically on the mission to retrieve the video recording of their Primarch getting murdered by the Calidus assassin to get confirmation that, Conrad was murdered by a human. But and meanwhile, like, the Tzeentch worshippers, like, why aren't you asking me, guys? I was the one who was there. Because you're a fucking Tzeentch demon now, and we don't trust anything that comes out of your fucking mouth. And last time we left you there, you turned our ship into God knows what. But I'm trustworthy. You have a beak as your face. What the fuck? You look like a Muppet.
You look like a Muppet, and you left the lasagna out. No, but like that rationale, it's because you worship Tzeentch. It feels exactly like it's because you're a poser.
Yeah.
That's literally what they are. They're so edgy. I love it. Like, it's so unashamedly edgy.
Yeah.
Like, Chaos sucks, and the Imperium sucks, and so does my dad. Like, that's what it is. It's kind of amazing. And the thing with the Night Lords is, like, yeah, they're... Rather than be, like... They're shattered as a unit, as a cohesive, legion. They are very fractured, as opposed to the Death Guard. They're very palpably insane, and they're straight up evil. Like, there's no argument that could be made, because some people do try and make the argument for Nurglites and the Death Guard that, oh no, they're actually good. No, like, the Night Lords are just straight up insane and evil.
Yeah.
But one thing I find interesting is that disdain for Chaos as well as the Imperium. It's like, we just want to do our own thing. We don't want to be told what to do. And that does come from their background, their main background as criminals on Nostromo.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens, Conrad, when you hire a bunch of criminals to be your legion.
Damn, it's almost like somebody could have seen this coming. That someone should have been the Emperor. It's funny, like, you read back, like, on these old heresy short stories and novels about the state of Angron and Conrad and all the others, and you think, you're like, how did the Emperor not see this coming? Like, he just didn't, like, predict this. Like, it's, like, he's full of the most human error. It's really mind-boggling.
It is, yeah.
And things like, that's one thing about the Night Lords that does kind of suck, is they're one of the least consequential traitor legions. They were there, though, at the fall of Cadia. I do know that. Some of them were just kind of around, just, looking for a fight, more or less.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like, they're really fun, but they don't do a lot. And I think the Death Guard, they have gotten involved in some big stuff. The Plague Wars against the Ultramarines, which that is something I definitely need to read more about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I should probably look into more, like, up-to-date 40k lore as well. I'm still kind of a bit behind because I'm still sort of, I'm still reading a bit into the heresy books, and then I'm jumping around a lot with sort of novels, and I'm also probably gonna get around to reading The Infinite and the Divine, aka the best book ever!
The only 40k book you will ever need under any circumstances. There are only Necrons.
There are only Necrons, okay?
Nothing else.
Full disclosure, we are not paid by Z to make that claim. This is completely unbiased. Infinite and Divine is the greatest book ever.
He's not paying us to make that statement. He's holding us at gunpoint. We're not being paid. We don't have a choice.
But actually, no, I did listen a bit into the book, and yeah, it is amazing, and I need to get around to reading further into it.
Yeah, and I would like to read it myself. I do want to get around to reading that and hearing it.
Yes, because it is the best book ever.
The greatest book in the world. The thing is, like, because I think there's a perception of Necrons, for those who don't know, as, they're all just, we must wipe out all life in the universe, we are robots, and like that. But it's not really the case. Like, they do actually have real characters, And that's the same reason I want to get into reading the Mechanicus trilogy eventually. Because, there's obviously this perception of Mechanicus as, all they care about is just toaster, 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 Omnissiah, Omnissiah, Omnissiah. And I would like to see how they're written, how they really play out. For those who don't know, the Mechanicus trilogy, it is 3 books. First, Scitarus, then Magos, and then Tech Priest. I'm looking up who wrote it.
Peak professionalism here!
Rob Sanders. Okay, the trilogy is by Rob Sanders. Oops.
No, don't worry. This is supposed to happen. We're peak professionals, people.
Oh yeah, no, we have not done this before. Well, you've appeared on like podcasts before, but like it's different when it's your own. But
yes, it's true.
The reason I am currently hesitating on getting into Scitarus is because I have for the last while been plugging away at the Eisenhorn trilogy, which by Dan Abnett, which is really good in my opinion. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I've become really invested in all the characters that you meet. And obviously, there are some complaints and some gripes, but on the whole, I do really like it. I've really enjoyed it. I have finished Xenos and recently finished Malleus, and just got the first half hour into Hereticast, the last one in the series. But then again, the thing is, I've heard the follow-up trilogy to Eisenhorn is even better, the Ravener trilogy. But the problem is, I'm like, why is it always trilogies? First 3, then 3, and then if I follow through with Ravener, which I hear is really good, and like, am I gonna have it in me to get around to the Mechanicus series? It's like, oh boy.
Well, all good things come in 3s.
That is true. That is very true.
The 3 is the magical number.
Yeah. But like the reason I really like Eisenhorn, and I think I'll really like Ravener, is because the Inquisition is, without a doubt, my favorite faction in 40k. They're extremely interesting. Like, the characters are very interesting. How it sort of turns into detective books in a way when you read them, as opposed to just being stories. That's something I really like.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I love about the Inquisition is the hardcore factionalism. Like, people think, oh, it's the Inquisition, it's this unified monolithic front where everyone thinks the same. They just want to exterminate us. No, it's not like that at all. It's and I'll definitely get into the Inquisition more later on down the line in a later episode. But that is just sort of a declaration of my love for the Inquisition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, then again, you are the Pinkquisitor. Of course you're gonna. You sing the highest of praises to the Inquisition without getting shot.
What? Me? Not like the Inquisition? What are you saying? Of course I do. No. Would that make you a demon host then? Because
I mean,
some Inquisitors have that. They just like summon a demon and then just keep it chained up and just seek advice from it and just interrogate it every now and again.
I mean, that's sort of my knowledge about Eisenhorn, that he's basically just this dude who hangs out with his buddy, the demon host.
That's like what happens at the very, spoiler, sorry everyone, at the very end of Malleus, and I'm sure they're going to get into it a lot more later in Hereticus, that, yep, Eisenhorn has a demon in his basement. It's just chained up in his basement and nobody knows about it.
I mean, yeah, the whole idea of demon hosts is, like, it's also, like, seen in a comic that I've read a long time ago, The Will of Iron, Revelation, and Fall, and it's a comic that's about the best Imperial Legion of all time, the Dark Angels. Actually, no, I have no problem with the Dark Angels. This particular comic really showed them shine through, and I actually quite enjoyed them. And yeah, sure, go ahead and make those memes about how Dark Angels are secretly heretical. Like, yeah.
Oh God, repent! Oh God, no, but I think the Dark Angels are a very interesting legion. Like, I think they're cool, and I would love definitely to read more about them and know more about them. And we do have a friend of ours who is very into the Dark Angels Legion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Nick. But
yeah, shout out to our boy.
Hey. Yeah. So, one thing I would definitely want to do in a future episode is cover the other legions. Oh, I have notes here. For those who don't know, I'm such a nerd. I make notes before the podcast instead of doing it off the cuff.
Oh, what? You structure your podcast? What is this sorcery?
Pitiful, truly. No, the World Eaters was the other legion I had the notes on, so that's 4 of the Traitor Legions. One thing I found very interesting is, because my big introduction to the World Eaters was the Prince of Blood short story by A Border Prince, which you had personally recommended by name as being a really good one. And
yeah, it's the best. I mean, we probably should dedicate in the hopefully next episode for this, where we're going to incessantly talk about the best power couple of all time, Karn and Lotara.
Kantara. Yo, if you're not on the
Holy
if you're
shit.
not on the Kantara train, get on it.
I'm the fucking conductor of this train.
God. No, yeah, that will definitely save that for a future episode. And both proclaiming our undying love and appreciation for the Harlequin faction as one of our favorites.
Heck yeah.
As well as covering the other Traitor Legions and, talking about the Loyalist Legions and things like that, Speaking about the books we've read, things we like, as well as, maybe trying to get guests on later in the future. Things that I guess we're just going to kind of take it as it comes,
Yeah.
We need to get our foot in the door. In the podcast door.
The podcast door, yeah.
But, thus far, I think it's gone well.
Yeah. And if you'd like, you can type in some comments in the comment section asking us a series of questions and we might answer them. Or we might stare at them with confused horror.
Oh, God. Allow us to answer your question with questions.
Allow us to answer your questions with confused screaming.
I was drinking water.
Oh dear.
No, I'm fine. So yeah, I think we should wrap it up here. We just broke off 40 minutes. Longer than we thought we would go.
Just 10 minutes. But hey, I'm glad you decided to stick around. This is a nice little tryout, and so yeah.
This is fun. All right, this has been the Hereticast, episode 1.